Hey guys, SK here, back with another Clash Royale video. Hope you guys are all doing well. I'm currently top 50 in the world using 3.0 Xbow Cycle, so today we're going to be getting some nice ladder games using 3.0. And just a disclaimer, this is early season, so the season did just reset, which means, this is the first week of the season, so even though it is going to be pretty nice to push up high, getting top 50, top 10 early season isn't really the same at all as getting top 50 or top 10 in the last few weeks of the season. But that being said, I'm still going to be trying to get some nice games and see if we can get some nice wins today. So we do see a queen in the first match, just going to Xbow opposite right away. And we see a bomb tower. Sadly, can't support my Xbow because I do have to respond to this queen, so just going to knight, log it back after the ability pops to fully counter it. And Xbow actually does fully counter the bomb tower and get a few hits on the right, or on the left rather. I didn't actually know that. So pretty nice interaction there. And queen plus bomb tower, I'm going to hover my Tesla here because I don't really think it can be anything else. Except for Hog Rider. Yeah, we do see a Far Spirit as well. Although Hog Rider has been playing exclusively Cannon this last season and this last few seasons as well, so kind of interesting to see someone playing it with Bomb Tower. Again though, it is early season, which means pretty much anyone can get up high because all the pros and really good players aren't playing as much right at the start, so you can really just see pretty much anything. On that note though, Cannon is one of the cards that's getting nerfed in the next balance changes, which is going to be released the day after I'm recording this, I think, because I'm recording this right when the season reset, and usually they take at least a day to kind of cool off and do the balances. Just going to log the queen again. So knight won't fully counter a queen, but if you support it with either a log or one of your cycle cards, it should do the trick. And Hog Earthquake is going to be a pretty hard matchup from what it looks like. Pretty sure it's going to be Hog Earthquake. But since Earthquake was nerfed a few months ago, Fireball does actually do more damage than the Earthquake. So technically, if you play it well, you can just out-damage them. But you have to play it really well. You have to defend perfectly pretty much and not let any Hog hits connect. Otherwise, it's going to be pretty bad for you. And he does go for a queen, so I was considering Xbowing opposite, but I already split my archers, and I do still have to respond to the queen, so might as well just defend this for now and sit back. Archer should fully counter the queen, hopefully. Okay, does just barely survive, but it's fine. Gonna go for a Tesla. Kind of messed up my anti-earthquake placement by one tile, but it's fine. I think that was a bit too aggressive of a bomb tower on my opponent's end, because the Hog was still easily able to get fully countered with the help of the Ice Spirit, and we do see another Hog coming down, but I'm just going to Skeletons and Tesla. We do get a small connection there, so really nice stuff there. Really nice Tesla placement, which basically pushes the Hog out of Xbow range, so that's why my Xbow is able to lock on the tower and not target the Hog. And I wish I would have fireballed the queen, but I didn't react instantly, so I don't think I can hit it anymore. Just going to get archers down and then log this Hog back last second. Should get fully countered. If you get the perfect log timing down, then it's going to be alright. Queen ability comes in, so just going to go for a low knight just to soak it, and then Ice Spirit to make sure the Fire Spirit doesn't splash onto my knight and the tower. And he is kind of catching up in damage on the left, not going to lie. So I'm just going to high Earthquake, or high Tesla rather, to avoid the Earthquake in the middle. And Hog comes down. This placement will also pull a Hog, even if it's underground when the Hog gets played. And Bomb Tower basically goes down. I'm going to just Fireball Cycle at this point, because it looks like he's going same lane as me, and I think it's a little bit too late to switch lanes at this point. Just going to Defensive Xbow. This is not very common. Usually I like to play this matchup a lot more aggressively, but given the situation, I already have a lot of damage in the left. I think it's better to just Spell Cycle, and so Defensive Xbows will be really helpful, because as you can see, I kind of forced out the Earthquake up high on the Tesla and the Xbow, and he does go for a Hog, so I'm going to have to Fireball it back. Hopefully he gets fully countered with the Knight as well. Unfortunately, still gets a hit, actually, so I'm pretty sure before the nerf, Fireball was nerfed. I'm pretty sure before the nerf that would have perfectly countered the Hog, but since they did nerf its knockback by, I think, 40% or something, like a pretty high amount, the Hog did unfortunately get one hit. Just going to log it back though. Might be able to get a small connection here. Earthquake does come down, but we do get a connection, so it is kind of rare to keep going, especially when you're going same lane. It's kind of not really common to keep going offensive Xbows, but in that situation I felt like it was a good play because he just uses Earthquake, and I was able to get a small connection as a result of it. So I'm just going to Knight, protect my archers, force out the queen ability early, and then log the queen back. And he is just Earthquake cycling, so I'm going to have to Fireball Cycle myself. High Tesla as well, so he cannot get any sort of Earthquake value on my Tesla and tower. That was a really bad Earthquake, I feel like, because he probably should have just Earthquake tower. It didn't really accomplish anything, and here he's going for another Hog, so he is able to outcycle me pretty easily. This is the one downside of this matchup. because he does have a queen, so he gets a 3-card cycle, which does make it really awkward. Especially if they cycle super fast. They can also outcycle my fireball and get multiple earthquakes down before I can get multiple fireballs down, but he's still earthquaking my defenses. Wow, looks like he already outcycled. That is a really fast cycle, but just gonna Xbow. He actually misses the Xbow with the earthquake, so that's just gonna be a good game. Really nice win there against Hog Earthquake. I feel like I played that one really well, just kind of kept the ball in my court the whole time, just playing at my momentum, my pace of the match. You know, forcing him to Earthquake on the tower he didn't want to hit with my anti-Earthquake defensive Xbows, and also with the high Tesla, so he didn't hit my tower. But that's going to be a really nice win. First win of the day against Hog Rider Earthquake. Alright, so we found another match against BU Amar. Does have LavaHound on his profile, so it would be a pretty nice sight to see. It would be a pretty good matchup for me. Just going to Ice Spirit to find out if he's going to play anything, and he does ignore it and just go for the Tombstone, so that definitely leads me to believe that it's going to be LavaHound. Just going to log the Tombstone and get ready to Xbow if he lavas in the back, because yeah, exactly, I had a feeling he would after I just logged the Tombstone, wasn't really doing anything. I'm gonna get my skeletons ready in case he has an Inferno Dragon as well, and looks like he just goes Mega Minion, gonna skeletons for it, and did get the perfect timing off really nice, so I basically was able to soak 3 Mega Minion hits while the tower was targeting it, so that's a really nice play. I actually have some trouble with that play sometimes, and he does go for a really nice balloon way off to the side, so I can't actually do the trick where you snipe the balloon with the Tesla first, but he does fireball off my archers instead of the Tesla, which means Tesla will stay alive. I can get a very nice fireball off on all the pups, and that zap of his didn't really do him any justice at all because I pretty much still fully defended. I mean, I took the balloon's death damage, but that's really not a big deal considering I defended everything else perfectly, and I also have over a 1000 HP damage lead to start this one out, so yeah, it looks like he's pretty upset about the start to this match. Just gonna go for a knight in the back. Don't want to cycle my log because he does have a Tombstone, so I'd rather, again, save the log for the Tombstone, and he just goes for a LavaHound, so I think I might as well just Xbow. He probably has Skeleton Dragons. Yep, there they are, so just gonna archers for them. Ice Spirit as well to reset and let them target my knight. That way my Xbow stays alive, my knight and archer stay alive, and he has to respond to all of them, so Xbow is going to take tower, really nice. Mega Minion is going to walk in front of the LavaHound. Although I am just going to stall it out for a bit with my skeletons, keep my archers alive, and I'm just going to Tesla just because he might go for a balloon, and then I'm just going to not fireball actually, because even though that's a lot of fireball value, I'm a bit wary of him going opposite lane with the balloon. Yeah, exactly, I knew he would do that, which is why I didn't want to fireball in case he did it instantly and I couldn't afford my Xbow. Like you can see here, I'm pulling it into my Tesla with the Xbow. Really nice play. If you don't have a Tesla in cycle, but you have a Tesla alive from the last defense, you can just kite it over with an Xbow, especially if I already took his tower. It's pretty much not really necessary for me to save my Xbow anymore, so really nice play, but that's why I didn't fireball. I just wanted to save it for the balloon just in case. Gonna fireball off those skeleton dragons instantly, and Knight will do a really good job. Okay, he looks like he's just trying to spam a bunch at the bridge, so I do have to kind of get back to a fireball, potentially. We'll see. Gonna go Ice Spirit, and yeah, I am gonna fireball all of this off, just because I want to keep my Tesla alive and keep the path clear. Just like that. He does fireball off my Tesla, but I'm back to another one. Okay, I just missed it. That was really bad, actually, but thankfully I only took one balloon hit. If I missed it and he got 2 balloon hits, would have kind of sucked to get into a tower trade situation just because of that misplacement. But yeah, a bit unfortunate there, but still, you know, just gonna apply some pressure. Only a few seconds left in this match, so it's pretty much over. Pretty straightforward win against a really easy matchup, classic LavaLoon. Alright, so we found the next match against Sing Quiz. Gonna give him the good luck and see what's up. He does give the WoW, and he's actually spamming WoW, so I guess I'll just give the WoW back. Just gonna cycle a log to start it out. And he does actually split archers in the back, so this could actually be an Xbow mirror matchup maybe, because he does have archers, which aren't really a card you see very often. I think the only deck you really see them in is Xbow, and he's also giving a lot of WoWs, so just gonna go Knight Tesla to take out this Xbow as fast as possible. He does actually get a fireball off, so I'm gonna have to try an Ice Spirit to protect my Tesla. Kind of mess it up actually, but thankfully he does let the Ice Spirit lock onto the Xbow, so I do get a nice freeze in, and then I can just log to finish it off. I'm going to give him the well played back, and that was actually quite a threatening push, so I'm really glad that I was able to defend it, because sometimes in these Xbow mirror matches, if they like Xbow early on and you don't really have the right cycle, or you kind of mess up the defense, you can take like over 500 damage, and you kind of already lose from that point. So Just going to flip my archers here, and 3.0 Xbow Cycle mirror match is interesting. I feel like I'm pretty good at this matchup, but I haven't gone up against it in quite a long time. Just going to Xbow because I kind of want to keep the momentum in my favor. Yeah, Knight Tesla does come down, and he didn't go for the Tesla in the correct spot, in my opinion, so thankfully it's not going to be that threatening, because don't really have to worry about him going for an Xbow with the Tesla. If he played the Tesla a bit more to the right, then there would be space for the Xbow, and it would be kind of scary, but don't really have to worry about it right now. Gonna log, and looks like he's leaking, or doesn't have much elixir. Just gonna split my archers to respond to his, and yeah, just kind of playing it pretty passively and single so far. Gonna Knight Tesla, and this should fully defend it. And this is the Tesla placement I was talking about. You kind of want to play it here because that way you can fit an Xbow right next to it. And also notice how I didn't use my Knight with my other Xbow because I wanted to save it for defending the Xbow. Because if you waste your Knight in this matchup, you can get punished really hard. So he does go for a Knight, but this is what I was talking about. I can just support my Xbow with the Tesla that was already there. Going to log this back. Ice Spirit as well. Looks like we actually did catch the archers. So that's going to be absolutely huge. Also, I did shove my Xbow up by one tile because I didn't want him to be able to fireball the Xbow plus the tower. So just like that, we are going to get a really nice connection. He's going to try and go in again. Just going to go for a low Knight and then defensive Xbow. I'm going to put it a bit to the right because this is the anti-fireball placement for my right side tower, because I don't want him to be able to hit my weaker tower and Xbow with a fireball. Just going to log all this back, and this should fully defend because, yeah, once archers get logged off, they're really easy to take out. And at this point, we can pretty much just kind of sit back and play some nice defense because I have a really nice lead. It's not that big, it's only about 500 HP, but that's really all you need. Just going to fireball off his defensive Xbow, set up with a Knight in the back, and then just kind of get ready. Might go in. Going to make sure that E-Spirit doesn't connect, and he actually goes for a fireball on my Knight, which I would say is quite a big mistake, because now I can definitely go in, and okay, he does predict, so that's why I was kind of hovering to see if he would predict it, and since he did, I'm going to go in on the left instead, and he should be in quite a bad spot here, honestly, because he did, again, just fireball off my Knight. Gonna go skeletons, and then I'm gonna get back to another Xbow in the right here because he just spent quite a lot on that Tesla. It does go for archers plus log, which is a pretty good prediction, but it's really aggressive as well. Yeah, he doesn't really have any elixir right now, so that's just gonna lock on. He does give the good game. It's pretty much gonna be game. I mean, he is gonna be able to defend, but I feel like he was just a bit too aggressive. Firstly, with the Knight, fireballing my Knight. I mean, you can sometimes do that if you need to catch up in damage, but it's a bit premature, I feel like, and then also he spent too much on my Xbow on the left, so I just kind of went in on the right, and he kind of was too aggressive in predicting it, I would say. So that's pretty much going to be game. I mean, at this point, he is still going to try, which I will give him props for, but as long as I don't mess up my defense, I should be fine, and I can pretty much just fireball to be safe, and that's pretty much going to take out the Xbow. And at this point, it's triple elixir. I can just constantly go with defensive Xbows, and there's really nothing that my opponent can do. Defensive Xbow battle is going to be interesting. Just going to go with the Knight. Try and get back to a second Knight as fast as possible to protect my Xbow. You do have to cycle 4 cards, which is why I kind of like to cycle super aggressively, get back to my next Knight. And right here, he might go in on the left because his Xbow actually does lock onto mine, but I'm not going to panic. Just going to try and get back to my next Knight to stall for his Xbow. That's going to be a pretty nice defensive Xbow opportunity. So notice this placement is really interesting because his defensive Xbow isn't actually able to hit it. Just going to fireball off the Xbow on the right, stall it out with some Knights and my cycle cards, and then just log it off. And there's only 15 seconds left, so I mean, he is getting a pretty good offensive initiative going, but it's pretty much over at this point. Yeah, it's pretty much going to be a good game. And that defensive Xbow placement was really useful because if they ever have surviving defensive Xbow and you still need to play your own defensive Xbow, just place it one tile lower and it will kind of bypass and get ignored by their defensive Xbow. So that's going to be a good game though. Really nice win in the Xbow mirror matchup. Feel like I played it pretty well, and GG's to my opponent. Not very often you see 3.0 Xbow Cycle, at least in my experience. Last season when I was pushing ladder, I didn't really see it much at all. That's going to put me number 16th though, which should actually be a bit higher than 16, like maybe top 10, because at the start of the season the leaderboards are usually glitched, like all these people aren't actually there. Yeah, all of these people so far. And so it looks like a lone angel is actually number 1, so we're going to be pretty much just about top 10 then, which is pretty nice. Alright, so we got another game against OP Jawad. It's been quite a bit of time since the last game, but hopefully we can keep it going here. For some reason my opponent's already giving the goblin laugh, so maybe he knows what I'm playing and he's upset about the matchup, or I don't know, maybe he just likes to BM. Anyways, just gonna knight the back because he wasn't doing anything. And Ice Wizard, just gonna fireball it off. This is a bit risky. If he has Ice Bow, I could get punished pretty hard, but anything else should be fine. Inferno Dragon, okay, so it's looking like it's gonna be Graveyard Freeze, with Bowler and Valkyrie or Golden Knight sometimes these days. It's a pretty classic Graveyard Freeze version though, but it could also be some kind of weird off-meta deck. You see a Valk, and I think that is part of the Graveyard deck, if I'm not mistaken. Just gonna Skeletons, keep my Tesla alive, because why not, and then cycle back to a Knight for this Valk. And let's see if my opponent wants to keep pushing. He goes for a Bowler, so yeah, pretty much confirms my suspicion that it is going to be that Graveyard Freeze deck. I kind of want to go in. Okay, he does go for an Ewiz at the bridge, so just going to Archers to snipe it, and then Xbow with this, because he just uses Valk and his Bowler. He's not back to either, so he shouldn't really have a great cycle in terms of dealing with this Xbow. Yeah, he has to go with quite a bad freeze, I would say, or it wasn't that bad, but it didn't really solve the issue for him. It kind of just stalled out my Xbow for a bit, and I'm hovering Skeleton just in case he goes Inferno Dragon. Perfect, caught it, so just gonna go for them, stall it out even longer, and we are gonna get a really nice connection. So my opponent is understandably upset about this one. Just gonna go for a Knight after the Inferno Dragon walks up a bit so I can kite it backwards, and actually pretty smart Valkyrie out of my opponent. Gonna give him the well played because he held the Knight in place so the Inferno Dragon continued to melt it. Usually what happens in that interaction is the Knight walks up, and then it works out pretty well. But just going to go for an Xbow, because I think my opponent shouldn't have enough for a Bowler here, and he does go for the Ewiz, just going to log it back, and this should definitely be a connection. I don't think that was the best Ewiz on his end. I think if he couldn't afford a Bowler, he probably should have saved up for it, or maybe gone for an Ewiz later. I guess I'm just going to give him the thanks just because he's BMing so much. But yeah, that's pretty much going to be game already. Just going to go for a high Tesla, and I pretty much just have to sit back and defend now. If he's not going to go for anything though, I could maybe go in again. Okay, I drag to snipe the Tesla. Just going to defensive Expo. Really useful in this matchup, so if I didn't have an early lead to start out, I would have just been able to defensive Expo up and build up an advantage that way, because they don't have any big spells in this Graveyard Freeze deck. So any no big spell deck is usually pretty weak against defensive Expos, and so it's always a viable strategy. Gonna actually cycle back to another offensive Expo because he just uses Bowler and Valkyrie in succession, so he won't have either of them right away. Looks like he is back to his Bowler now, but I was considering fireballing. I don't think it would have been worth it because, yeah, my Expo would have been dead anyways. Gonna get Archers down, and he's probably gonna freeze all of these, gets a nice tornado off, but thankfully my Tesla distracts the Bowler, so that was really useful actually. He wanted to line up the Archers with the Bowler to take them out with a tornado, but since my Tesla was distracting the Bowler, the Archer stayed alive the whole time, so really good interaction for me there. I'm just gonna Archers on the iDrag, even though I do want to save Archers for the graveyard. I do have a defensive Expo that I'm gonna protect, so I think it should be pretty fine, and I'm just going to get a Tesla down and Expo because I have a Tesla, I have a defensive Expo surviving, and my opponent should be in a pretty bad spot overall. Just going to log this back, and now he only has Ice Wiz and Ewiz in cycle, so I'm pretty sure he's going to be forced to freeze on defense here. Yeah, is going for a low Ewiz, but he really, yeah, freeze was his only option there. And then I'm just going to go for another Expo because he goes for a really last-second tornado, does not have much elixir at all. That is going to be GG. My opponent knows it, does also give the good game himself, so that's going to be a pretty easy win. Pretty good matchup there, Graveyard Freeze. Haven't played that in quite a while, actually. I've mostly been playing Splash Yard, but still, definitely will take that win. Alright, so we found another game against Majestic Dark, getting up there in trophies, and I actually recognize his name, gonna give him the good luck. I actually beat him last season a few times. He was running Logbait Mighty Miner, so we do see a log, just gonna Expo right away, because it could be the same deck. Let's see. Okay, Valk plus Queen. Valk Queen log, so this is probably going to be Mortar if I had to guess. Could also be Hog Rider, but probably not, because usually the best Hog decks have Giant Skeleton, not a Valk. Queen ability is forced out, and he does go for a Miner. Okay, so gonna have to go for Archers on the Queen as well, unfortunately. And so yeah, that is going to confirm it is going to be Mortar. So in this type of matchup, I definitely want to make the most out of single elixir. The balance changes aren't in effect yet, so the Mortar nerf is not has not arrived yet, so Mortar doesn't have the HP nerf that it's going to get. He has an Ice Spirit in here, which is interesting. Usually they have a Fire Spirit, but Ice Spirit is less threatening, does less damage, so I'm fine to just take that. I'm just going to go for an Expo. It looks like he has guards instead of skeletons, which I think is a good thing for me. Goes for a defensive mortar, just going to knight to protect my Xbow, and I think I do have to Ice Spirit for these guards on the right, and this should actually lock on unless he gets something down. Yeah, it does get a log down, but poison log forced out. He did poison up high, which is good for me because it means he didn't actually hit my tower, so I can continue to go in the left lane. Usually against these types of matchups, you always want to go opposite lane to your opponent because especially if they have like a big spell, you don't want to give them continuous spell value on your Xbow and tower, but since he went for the high poison, I'm pretty fine. And okay, minor Ice Spirit, that's a perfect opportunity for me to go in. Gonna scale at least predict the queen as well. And he does go Valk plus guards. Gonna Ice Spirit to cycle back to my log, and then just log actually instead of going for a knight. Yeah, it looks like that was a perfect sequence there. He gives a good game. I mean, that's pretty much going to be game. I think he has to poison this. Gonna knight just in case he goes for a queen. Okay, unfortunately I didn't catch the minor. If I caught it, it definitely would have been game, but it pretty much still is over because I just have a huge lead. And that was basically too aggressive of a minor on my opponent's end. I know it seems crazy, but minor Ice Spirit, I just pretty much ignored it. You know, split archers, one archer dealt with it, and that was just really good. Gonna try and get a nice fireball off on the Valk and the queen. Nice, looks like I hit both, so really, really good fireball there. Fireball log does pretty much take out the queen with like 1 or 2 Xbow ticks, I think, and that is basically going to be over. I'm going to predict the mortar with this Tesla. Looks like we actually got it off. Really good stuff there. He doesn't get the guards down in time. And yeah, again, I feel like guards, they are annoying because they do force the log out, but in a deck like this, I don't really have to log anything else, so I'm not too worried about the guards. And it was really useful for me where I could just, you know, get that nice Ice Spirit plus log on the Valk plus guards. As opposed to skeletons, he would have been able to cycle around to his other stuff quicker. Just going to Xbow opposite, because he is spending quite a lot on the right side, and I can just get a really high value fireball off on the queen plus mortar. Okay, never mind about hitting the queen apparently, because I totally messed that up, but still, mortar only gets 1 hit on tower, that's fine. Log forced out, and I mean, that was quite a big mistake, I guess, but since I'm up so much, it doesn't really matter at this point. I can pretty much just chill out, and all I have to really do is keep pressuring. I mean, if he just has to play defense the whole game, there's no way he's going to catch up 1,500 damage. Does go for defensive mortar. I guess I'm just going to defensive Xbow back. I mean, there's no point, because I can't fireball it, and the left side tower, there's no point fireballing his weaker tower. That won't really do me any justice. And I think I can just afford to raw fireball the tower now at this point. Okay, Valk does take out my Xbow, which is a bit unfortunate, but it should still be fine. And I had a feeling he would predict guard, so I wasn't going for a Tesla right away. Just going to log them back. And defensive Xbow is fine right here, because even if he gets a poison down, it's not really going to be enough in time. He has to get a huge burst of damage there, so just, you know, 1 poison on my tower isn't really the end of the world. So that's why I'm fine playing an Xbow in poison range in this situation. And I'm just going to keep doing it, honestly, because if he poisons my Xbow out, that's kind of giving up his initiative. I mean, he's getting a poison on the tower, but that's 4 elixir that he could have spent on like a miner or a Valk or just a troop supporting. Gonna Xbow opposite now, because yeah, I had a feeling he would spend quite a lot. Queen plus ability comes down, and I can just log these guards. Xbow will actually target the queen unless he protects it, and he does go for a miner on the Xbow, but queen ability isn't back yet, so I don't really have to worry about it, and I can pretty much just fireball cycle at this point. He is protecting his mortar pretty well, but I'm pretty sure that's just going to be 2 logs and a fireball, or just 2 fireballs. And I'm honestly pretty fine to just sit back and defend as well. I don't necessarily need to take the tower. This Tesla is putting in quite a lot of work against both mortars at this point, and I can just get back to my last fireball, and that is going to be game. So honestly, pretty good match. I don't think it's a super good matchup for me, but I played single elixir pretty well, and he was too aggressive, I think. I'm pretty sure he's a log bait main, so kind of makes sense. Because yeah, again, I did play against him last season, but yeah, pretty nice win. They're going to put me at top 13 again. Leaderboard is kind of glitched, so I think it should be a bit different than what it seems. Okay, I'm not going to collect all my rewards right now. But yeah, alone is number 1, so that pretty much puts me at top 8, I'm pretty sure. Okay, so we're in the next match, and hopefully my final match, because I'm just pretty much trying to go for top 5 right now. So I'm going to give my opponent the good luck as he gives it back. Looks to be a Russian player. I'm just going to cycle a log if he's not going to make a play, and probably going to be some kind of heavier deck if he doesn't want to make the first move, but we'll see. Just going to split my archers and see how he wants to respond. Ice Wizard, okay, gonna Xbow I think, because I don't have Fireball in cycle. Actually, might as well just cycle back to my Fireball, because it's probably safer. Let's go for an E-Wiz. Okay, so looking like the same deck that we went against a few games ago, the Graveyard Freeze one, which is interesting because I don't know why I'm seeing it so much. Again, it is early season, so people are pretty much just playing whatever they want. Also going to Ice Spirit to perfectly counter the E-Wiz. If you play your Ice Spirit far enough, it'll force the E-Wiz to hit it once and then waste some more time, so just a really nice interaction there. Gonna Tesla up, and he does go for an I-Drag at the bridge, so looks like my opponent kind of knows what he's doing. Inferno Dragon is a very annoying card for me to deal with, so that pressure was kind of annoying, but we'll see. I know he has Bowler and Cycle right now, but I do have a Tesla still up, so I'm gonna Xbow. And yeah, there's the Bowler. Gonna Archers just to DPS it down, actually, because I do, again, have the Tesla up. Pretty nice Tornado on his end, honestly, so that is kind of unfortunate. Just going to be a straight-up end to my Xbow initiative, but still fine. I'm up 500 damage. I'm actually not sure where all that... I guess from the Ice Spirit log at the start and then the Fireball. Just going to Ice Spirit again and see if he wants to respond. Does Ice Wiz this time, so I guess I'm just going to log, then I can just Skeleton surround the Ice Wiz afterwards, and even if I mess it up, it doesn't matter because it's so low on HP. And he is giving me Fireball Value with the E-Wiz, but I guess I'm just going to Knight because I am pretty sure he's not back to his Bowler yet, so I'm going to Expo opposite when I hit 10. I'm pretty sure he's one away because he played Tornado and then both Wizards. Now he's back after playing the Inferno Dragon, unfortunately, but still just going to snipe it with my Archers. Again, he gets a pretty nice Tornado off, but I am actually going to get a small connection in the right here, and then I'm going to just have to kite this I-Drag over. Okay, I have to get a Tesla down. That is kind of unfortunate, but I have to cycle all the way back to my Archers. Pretty smart graveyard on his end, honestly, knowing that my cycle was pretty bad. I definitely had to commit a ton there, so yeah, I'm down a little bit of Elixir after that, but was still able to defend fine because he didn't freeze. Just going to take that Fireball value, and then, like I was saying towards the end of the last match, if I don't really have much of an initiative or advantage going, I can just play a defensive Expo, and it will cause my opponent quite a bit of trouble because he can't really afford to do much against this. Like, pretty much anything he plays goes into the Expo. With the exception of the Inferno Dragon, that is quite annoying, but as long as I protect against the I-Drag, it's fine. And this seems kind of counterintuitive, you know, going into a Valk, but since he just uses Bowler, I don't think he's back to it right away. He might be back to it now that he played the E-Wiz and Inferno Dragon, but I'm just going to protect, and I'm going to actually get a really nice Fireball off and then log last second on the Bowler to maybe catch him off guard. Looks like he wasn't ready for it, so that's going to be another nice burst of damage, about 700 damage there, so really nice stuff. And it looks like he's in a graveyard, so I'm going to block the bridge. Okay, he actually outplayed me there. He was kind of feinting or baiting out my bridge block because he knew that I probably wanted to block it at the bridge and he didn't actually go in. So actually that was pretty well played on his end. Looks like he's switching lanes now, but I'm still going to block the bridge because I don't have anything good against the I-Dragon Cycle. So I don't really have a choice. He does get a freeze down, but I'm back to my Archers now. He actually got quite a lot of damage there, not going to lie. So well played to him. I mean, he kind of knows what he's doing. We are pretty high on ladder, even though it is early season. He still seems to know what he's doing, so... I'm just going to defensive Expo. Going in constantly isn't going to work out that well, especially when he has Bowler in cycle. And this seems kind of weird, but I'm just going to Fireball his tower because he can't do much against my defensive Expo. Going to protect it with the Tesla and Skeletons, and I can maybe go in again, actually. He is at least one away from his Bowler now because he played I-Drag, E-Wiz, and Freeze. Going to Knight to block the Valk. And actually, this is kind of scary because I can't really afford much on my Expo anymore. I have to defend this Bowler E-Wiz in the right. But I think this Ice Spirit should do the trick. Just going to Archers to be safe. And okay, this is looking kind of sketchy. Actually, going to Fireball the Inferno Dragon back, and then Knight for the left, Tesla as well. And I have to get back to another set of Archers. Thankfully, though, because my deck cycle is so fast, 3.0 is a really fast, efficient cycle deck. I'm already back to another pair. So just like that, I was able to get back. And then at this point, there's no way I'm going to be able to go in and get a connection. So I'm just going to Fireball cycle and just defend. He might be going in on the left, but I'm actually going to bridge block the I-Drag just in case. Okay, looks like he goes in on the right, so just going to get Archers down, log Ice Spirit, and get a last second Fireball down, and that is going to be game. Actually got kind of tense there. He played it pretty well, I have to say. Have to give my opponent props. Definitely was a lot closer than the other Graveyard Freeze match, but again, you know, when you're in doubt, just defensive Expo, and they can't really do much against it. Only plus 23 because we are pretty high on ladder, I guess, but that's going to be number 8 in the world, which is actually going to be, I think, top 5, because again, the leaderboard is glitched. So let's take a look. Pretty nice win, though, against Graveyard Freeze for the final game. Yeah, we're actually number 2. Wow. Okay, so as I said, all these players up here are glitched. That's usually a glitch that happens when the season resets. So Alone is actually number 1. So we are actually going to be number 2 right now. Pretty nice stuff. Again, it is early season. I'm not claiming to be number 2. Like, I'm not claiming to be amazing or anything, but it's just pretty nice to get up here, even if it is early season. But yeah, that's going to be a pretty nice ladder push with 3.0 Xbow Cycle. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Take care, and I will see you in the next one.